Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Danielle if you have not met me already. I had promised you guys that I would start bringing to you more festival story times and experiences that I had. You guys had really liked when I shared about all of my festival friends and how I met strangers on the internet, and now they're all my best friends. Since then, I have decided that I'm going to branch out and share with you a little bit more of things that have kind of happened to me with these people that I love. I have always wanted to share this story, and honestly I have sat down on the camera and tried to a couple different times, but I do get a little nervous, honestly. The reason being is because I have family that watches these videos, so mom, dad, my mom, and any of my cousins that are watching. This one's rated R, so turn it off maybe. I know I just expressed that I will literally share whatever, but when it comes to these type of things, I want to be careful, I guess. I don't necessarily want this to be promoted in something that I do quite often. I'm sure you can probably guess by either the title of this video or basically just a little bit of what I'm saying, but what I'm going to talk about today is the time that I candy flipped. If you don't know what candy flipping is, it is when you take LSD and Molly and combine them. I candy flipped one time and I met a lizard king. If you know me in real life, you probably have heard me tell this story before because this is one of the most craziest trip experiences that I've ever had. I do love to talk about this story because honestly it was quite spiritual in a way for me. But like I said, I don't want this to give anyone ideas, I guess. Like, I don't know. So I am going to go into a quick disclaimer, and I just want to say I do not promote drug use, first of all. And if I were to promote drug use, I would say that I think that everyone should practice safe drugs, get it from someone that they trust. Make sure you still test it, even if you do trust that person. And if you do trust that person would honestly test it for you. I also think that set and setting plays a huge role. I think timing in between each trip and roll are very important. Like, there's so many different factors, and I honestly believe that doing drug research before you try and experiment with any of it, because if you're going to try and experiment with any of it, I'm sure you all will at one point in your life, I do think that you should educate yourself. Accidents do happen, and there's even stories that I have of me where I took too much or did something wrong, and I can share those eventually too. But yeah, this is my first time being open about this on my channel, so I just want everyone to know where I stand with that. I'm only sharing this story for entertainment purposes and also for you guys on the internet to get to know me a little bit better if you don't already know this story. With all that being said, thank you for letting me do my disclaimer. If you're interested in hearing my crazy wild candy flipping experience, then just keep on watching and give this video a thumbs up if you want to hear more crazy story times, because I have a lot more that I can maybe share if this one does well. Just know at this point in my festival career, I had already been experimenting with things enough to know my limits, and I was with people that I trust and people that I was going to these events at the time like for a long time. So these were all people that I had known for a while. Where do I even begin? I was at this point in my life going back and forth with my ex at the time, and then also back and forth with someone else. There was just a fling that I was having with someone else alongside with going back and forth with my ex. I feel like I need to tell that part because there was like a lot going on in my mind at that time that I think also led to me having all of these like revelations about myself. I was planning on going with my ex and then also my other friends. This was like my original rave friends. So if you know the story, then you could probably guess who I'm with. But anyway, so we are all going to this particular festival and we were all planning on candy flipping that evening. At this point with experimenting, I had already tried LSD and Molly on its own, but I had not combined them. I was mostly doing it for, I guess, experimental purposes. I can go to events completely sober, and I have as many events that I've gone like under the influences as many events that I've gone sober. So just want to let you guys know I'm not that type of person that needs to be under the influence every single time, but for this case I did do it for the sense of experimenting, and I also felt incredibly safe. With that being said, I was conflicted because not only was I there with my ex at the time, but the other boy that I had interest in was also there because he had worked those type of events. So it was a little bit conflicting for me, and my brain was a little bit confused. I felt like I was kind of like pulling in two different directions, and even though I did enjoy my time with my ex there, it was like when you're kind of back and forth and like in this love triangle, you're like, I don't know, you're just like, your emotions are all over the place basically. I just didn't really know where my heart was at the time. When it comes to dosing, you're supposed to do it in a certain way. I started with the acid kind of in the day, and it was just the normal trip experience where you see all the cool little visuals, all the music sounds really cool, you're laughing a lot with your friends, like everything was honestly a good trip. That was a good trip. Later in that evening is when I decided to take the Molly. So around dusk, I would say, is when things started to hit me. This was a few years ago, so my memory is a little bit gapped anyways, just because it was a while ago. I just remember constantly having the image of lizards on my mind. And it wasn't necessarily that I was like hallucinating a bunch of reptile, but I was just thinking about it, like almost like as if it was a movie that I was remembering, and I just like kept picturing in my mind. I remember turning over to my ex at the time and I was like, I just keep seeing lizards. And he was like, okay, Danny, get back in your hole. Like, get back in your little space hole and like go do your thing. Like, that is weird. And I still to this day couldn't really tell you where that came from. After like this trip being so incredibly crazy for me, I remember researching a lot about this, and I never really came to a full conclusion. Basically everything that I came to was like, well, you were on drugs, so that's probably why. My subconscious mind just likes lizards. I don't know. Maybe that's my spirit animal. There was basically little things throughout the night that were kind of like triggering me to think about them. Like if there was a wubby bass drop, I would think about it. If I saw someone doing a light show or anything, I would think about lizards. Like if I saw someone wearing something super like sparkly, I would think about them. And even those like acid wash outfits really reminded me of lizards at the time as well. If I saw something like that at the festival, which you basically do all the time, then I would like start thinking about lizards again. I did run into the other boy that I was kind of back and forth with. You know, when you're already feeling intensified by a billion because of being under the influence, like everything just like sits with you in a really weird way, and you can start to overthink things. Basically, all of that is running through my mind while I am tripping and rolling at the same time, seeing lizards. The evening time came, and it was like time for the closers. My group wanted to see Elenium, and when it comes to Elenium, I like Elenium, like I don't mind, but I'm not like in my feels like most people are. Like every time I see Elenium, I'm just like, okay, this is good, but like I'm not like crying. I would cry at like a Subtronic show, or like I love Subtronic, so I don't know. Anyways, just so you know, I'm not like the in my feels type person. So for this to happen to me during an Elenium set is just a little bit bizarre. All those thoughts kind of like were just festering in my mind like a merry-go-round. They just kept going around in circles. Kept remembering like I just don't have, I guess, any true direction on where I'm going towards in life, which was pretty deep and emotional, but like I said, I was feeling very torn as far as relationships go. I just think that I had a lot of pressure put on me at that point in my life with my career and stuff like that, that everything was just kind of weighing on me. And this wasn't a bad trip. Like none of this was like where I was freaking out. It was just like thoughts. And like I said, I'm not the type to cry at these types of sets, so like having such deep and emotional thoughts, like I don't get like that under the influence. Like I'm just like, I just am like a woo girl. Like I'm just there to party and have fun and make everyone laugh. So like that's not usually what's in my head, festering in my head. So for this all to happen was like unusual for me, when everything was just kind of like rolling around in my head, which is funny because I was on Molly. Finally, this like epiphany hit. The way that this epiphany hit was in the form of a lizard king. And it was almost like all the little lizards that I was seeing throughout my candy flipping experience were like leading me to the Lizard King. It's so hard for me to explain it, and I did try to draw him so that way I could share with you guys like the image of him a little bit better, which I will show you in a second. Basically, he was just an image in my mind, but he came to me almost like in a cloud of smoke, and it was just him. It was just him in like darkness with smoke around him. He was very tall, kind of gruesome looking, but not, I wasn't scared. Like I wasn't scared of him. He just looked sick. Like he looked like he doesn't eat a lot. He looked malnourished, but he had a belly. So he was like this super tall, scaly, he was standing on his hind legs, very scale, like I just remember all the scales. And then he was skinny, like you could see his bones, but he did have like a beer belly almost. This is how I know he was a Lizard King, because he was wearing a black velvet crown, the kind of crowns that have like the 3 tiers. So like there's 2 bumps on here, and then there's like one big bump with a ruby right in the middle of it. Around the rim it was like golden. I can't remember if it was gold or silver, but the rims were really detailed as well. Like I said, he was scary looking, but I wasn't scared. And when he talked, his like tongue would come out while he was speaking to me. And this sounds crazy. He said my name, my full name, because a lot of people know me by Danny, but he referred to me as Danielle, which is my name. But he didn't call me Danny, he called me Danielle. He said, "Danielle, why are you the way that you are?" And I just was like thinking, this fucking lizard is talking to me. Like I didn't respond, obviously, especially because if I responded out loud, people would have looked over me in the middle of the Millennium set and been like, what the fuck? So I was just like basically listening to him. I didn't respond to any of his questions. He said a few other things to which my memory, I don't remember. Like I don't know what he said, but I do remember like feeling very inspired by it. And then the last piece of advice that he gave to me was that I need to write more, which I don't know if I've shared this on my channel or not, maybe a long time ago, but I was going to major in creative writing. Actually, I did go to college for a year, and that was my major, but I never finished it, and then went straight into doing hair at that time anyway, and just kind of like forgot about it. But obviously my subconscious mind knows that, but like it was just interesting that he like, the Lizard King blended in with my subconscious mind in that way, and knew that writing was something that used to be a very big passion of mine. Then after that, he went away. He didn't just like run away. He just kind of like, the image of him faded. And I basically went back to just listening to the rest of Millennium set. I remember feeling inspired, but like empty was the best way to put it, because like, how did he know that? I mean, obviously he knew that because it's me talking to myself. Basically, he was questioning me in a way on like my personality and stuff, which was really fascinating. After that, I didn't see any more lizards for the rest of the night. This is where I started experimenting a little bit further, and I took a shot of vodka or something, and after that, it made me feel really weird. Because of that, I started to get like the spins. Luckily, that was towards the end of the festival anyway. I didn't text the other guy back or anything like that. I kind of was like, I think I am supposed to be with my ex. I kind of was sick. Like I think it was because of the alcohol that kind of sent me over. So I didn't really say much for the rest of the night, and then I just went to bed. Then the next morning when I woke up, I shared the story with everybody, and I remember them thinking like, what are you talking about? That's never happened to us. There was other moments where I have experimented in the same type of setting and same type of manner, but never really saw that before, which was very unique. Yeah, that is my story, and I'll get the drawing. I'm obviously not an artist, so like don't think that this is some grandiose picture, but I couldn't describe in detail exactly what I was seeing. I figured I would try to draw it. It is in just pencil too, so let me go get it. The sun is literally setting right now at it's daylight savings. It's setting at 4 o'clock. That's so depressing. But anyways, I'm back with the picture. This is my very poor drawing of him. Let me see if I can get it to focus. I tried to do my best with like his tongue and then the scales of his body. This is his beer belly. He was standing on his feet, and like his feet were like had like long toenails, which was kind of creepy. This is his crown. I didn't color it in, but if I were, it would be like black, and then like it'd have that ruby on it. So that is basically my story. That was like one of the most coolest experiences that I had under the influence at a music festival. But like I said, I do not promote that. I do go to many events sober, and I can even share some fun festival experiences that I had completely sober as well. Festivals are super fun, and I just love music and being around my friends and just having fun. So yes, I'm super sweaty sharing that, but I felt like I needed to document it on YouTube because it is one of my most favorite stories to tell, and I also always talk about it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you want to hear more festival stories. Don't forget to follow me on Moon Delights, where I post all things festival related and give you guys updates throughout the week when I'm not posting a video on YouTube. I think that is all that I have left to say in this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys!